I can add to that diatribe in the last video something else, and that is that there's a reason, I believe. Well, what I think the reason is, anyway, the reason why they have there are two versions of the same variable, essentially, in this program, is because of a feature that they added to this, like this favorites here. Okay. Now, so say you want to add, if you've never added anything to this favorites, it's very unintuitive, and the way it works is this: you go, somewhere like here, right? Now I want to put this in my favorites, right? Instead of having add to favorites, right click or something, that's where I first looked for it. I was looking for it. Okay, all right. Send to favorites. Add. Where's the add to? How do I get it in the favorites? Do I just drag it there or what? But the way you're supposed to do it is you go up to favorites here and right click here, right? And it says add current location to favorites. You see? Well, the current location, if I just click that thing, is favorites, so that doesn't make any sense. The only way that can make any sense is if the current location is not the current location, but a different location. So therefore, this new improved Explorer has the ability to be in two places at once. And when you can be in two places at once, you can select two places at once, and you can delete two places at once. And it's not worth the feature of this unintuitive interface in the first place to break and destroy people's data, for which the company should be sued. It probably has been sued already to do it. People know, just by experience, that when you add things to a favorites type list, it's always done either through an interface in the menu, in one of the menus, right? It's going to be a right-click menu, or it's going to be a menu item up here at favorites. That's what the way it works in Explorer, right? Windows Explorer, you say wherever you are, what page you're on, right? Which is usually being displayed on the whole screen. There's nothing here at all. But whatever, the current thing that is where you're at is put into a favorites type list by selecting a menu item, not by selecting another item in the same right in the same box. Like well, this has no subdirectory. If I wanted to add this to favorites, I would expect either add to favorites in here, select this, add to favorites, right? Or select this and then drag it into favorites or something like that, right? I tried that. It didn't work. I tried right drag and various things. It took me ages to figure out the way you're supposed to do it. The way I'm supposed to put this in here is to do that, right? What is the current location? No other program in the world behaves this way. And so they've invented a whole new level of complexity where none of the old rules matter or count anymore. Like, I don't know, what would be a good example? You know, I suppose they suddenly decided, you know, that in order to close a window, you have to click a little thing in the corner here, right? And then drag, and then pop up a little box and drag it into the close, right? To close a program. So you have, you know, somehow you would have make a box, and then you would drag Explorer into the closed box, right? Nobody would ever figure it out, and that's what they've done. I don't know why some idiot came up with this idea. You know, now look. What do you suppose these 6 items are? It looks like there are 6 things here. It's probably that. I don't know for sure. You see that sort of thing happening all the time. Okay, now this says rand walk, right? But I just clicked temp. What happens if I press the delete key? Temp. See? It's not that hard to reproduce, is it? And if I click rand walk, well, there hasn't been a delta change. But oh, this time it worked. Well, that's random. That's random enough. But let's see. Yeah, maybe right and left clicking is a problem too. What if I'm in here and I left the, you know, what have I done here? 2 items. It says output. If I press delete, it's going to, I'm sure it's going to say temp. But I'm going to click output again and then delete. That time it worked. I don't understand it. But that's a bug. That's how bugs are. Is their behavior is unpredictable. You know, one part of the code handles it correctly, another part doesn't. You know, and keeping these things in these 2 types of variables in sync must be a nightmare. I can imagine what the code looks like. I don't want to imagine it. You know. Well, on to the next video. Hello there. Sorry about that. That has to do with my new wallpaper, which I think you might find enjoyable. This here, turns out, is an actress or model. Started out as a child model and somehow became part of an advertisement against smoking cigarettes. Now I added these bits in myself. This is her as a child. Well, she started modeling at 3 apparently. So I guess early teens, teenager, and then the bad girl. But I was looking for, you know, I should start out really by saying I apologize to any of my male viewers that in terms of if I just want to look at pictures of people that aren't famous or anything in any way, I'm only women interest me, and I know that that's a bias, and people shouldn't be biased, but that's biology. You know, I think that's partly to do with the fact You know, we are biological creatures, and so our preferences are not dictated by any sort of logic. I was thinking, well, what would I like to look at, and I came up with, well, it seems to me that every time I see a picture of a woman smoking a cigarette, I find it sexy. Well, apparently, I'm not the only one that has that feeling, because I looked up women smoking and images, and I don't know how many there are, but it just goes on and on forever. This is a nice one. Also, optionally a wallpaper for me that I made. But do you see the? I should take that one. It's particularly beautiful, and it needs the cigarette. I don't understand why, but without the cigarette, and look, it's brunette women, brunettes women. It's divided into subcategories: sexy, Asians, veil. Okay, you want do you want sexy Asian brunette, Vogue, 1930s smoking? Yes, okay, we got that category down. It's very strange. You can find women smoking cigarettes in all kinds of scenarios. That's the one I found. And some of them, like this one, I assume is an advertisement against smoking. I think they ought to bring smoking back. This is the age when they gotta get them working at it, just to perfect the art of holding it in the mouth like that properly and exhaling the smoke slowly, all that sort of thing. Oh, I'm sorry for the nudity. Was not my intention. In fact, I'm not really interested in photographs of nudity so much. Aesthetically, I think that particularly to do with women, who are the only creatures on the planet that I have an aesthetic reaction to. Well, no, some animals, I guess, are quite beautiful, but nothing like human women. Look at that. In clothes, women look much more beautiful, I find. Not that the human body is ugly, but I think there's an idea that people have there of what a perfect human body would look like, and it's always a disappointment when you actually look and see someone's body. Tell me what your mind can imagine a much better version. Usually, I have been proven wrong occasionally, but yes, this category is strangely. See, I was looking for famous women, and then I just thought, well, I don't want just a picture of bikini. I was trying to find new background because I know now how to add them. I can add them easily now. it turns out that it doesn't even matter what you call them. As long as you can put them in one of those directories, you can change your wallpaper to that image. You know the personalized thing. If you click on this, right, it brings you up a list, and maybe you can add your own category. Well, you must be able to, because I don't know where the hell this came from. So I probably didn't have to do what I did. I don't know where that came from. But in any case, nature is an open directory, so I can put as many pieces in there as I like. That's good enough. And then I should do the same with this one, because whatever comes out first, architecture. I should open that, and then I can see my collection first. Or maybe you can just browse. I guess you can browse around. No, you can just browse. So all that work for nothing. But not totally nothing. We did learn something about how the desktop wallpapers get stored, and how those ones particularly that say web on them are very well protected. Well, one of the ones I wanted to put in here was Courtney Love. She was a singer for a while. Her own band called Hole, and the girlfriend of what's his name there? The guy that killed himself. The famous. I'll think of it later, and I'll clip it in. So remember. Yeah, because she has kind of an interesting look to her. Anyway, yes. What are we doing, or what am I doing? Terms of the code. Of course, I'm trying to fix this thing. One thing. I have two problems I want to fix, actually. One is that thing that I used to put, that I just used now to put this here in the system tray. The one with the menu has that icon list box thing. And all that is I think, let me look at the resource. I think it's just a custom list box, custom drawn list box. Let's see what type it is. Okay, so here's the dialog, and this is, what is it? Properties. Looks like it's just a regular list box control. Nothing special about it. Tab stop, selection single, owner draw. Now what does this mean? Okay. I see. So it's an owner drawn list box. So the keyboard handling and everything is done by the system, but you're responsible for filling in the lines, and And the fixed here means that I believe that the height of each line is the same, so the same height. Now, the drawing of the items in this box, it's using MFC, but it would be this, you would just make similar callback. Apparently, certain types of notifications come along. All of these correspond to a particular Windows message, like WM measure item or something. Maybe, I don't know if it's WM measure item, but it could be. Let me check my list. Yeah, there you go. So sometimes you're going to get that kind of message. Sometimes you're going to get this kind of message, and sometimes you're going to get this. Okay, it sounds like it could be a message. Draw. Yeah. Okay. So all that is a matter of doing then is receiving those messages. I could even make these virtual functions just like the class wizard did for MFC. Getting rid of the extra comments. We don't need those. And then, then you have to draw it. And it looks pretty easy. The drawing looks pretty easy. So, draw item. Now the struct, it passes you an HDC, and I have a tool for HDCs. It also has an item number. Okay. So if that's negative, no elements involved. Okay. I think I added this in later because I realized there can be a case. It takes a while as I'm walking through all the top level windows to collect all the strings and pictures and whatnot. And during that time, you still get oh no, it wouldn't have said draw item, so it's not that thing. Never mind. What is this doing then? If there are no elements in the box, someone can draw a focus rect or erase it. But it says item ID. Isn't this the same line as this line? LP draw item. I'm looking at this and I see that these two lines look identical. What's the difference? Well, anyway, we'll see what that means. But I do at some point, it's blank, and in the middle of the list box it says please wait. And that's when it's filling up the list of all the things. Okay, we don't have a C brush, but we could invent it. We can use a regular old H brush. We do have these functions. And here again, it's draw focus rect. I wonder what that does. Oh, right, of course. A focus rect is a rectangle that has little dotted lines around it, to indicate focus, especially in list boxes. If I do this, view detail, well, this is the new style, but that's a focus rect, right? In the new style, it has a border. In the old style, it's like this, and you can't really tell, but it's a dotted outline. Okay, so this isn't using the new style. You can tell because there's no transparent. Yeah, well, there's only a little transparency. It might be new style. What else do I have with list styles? Well, I've got combo bar, but that doesn't really have a focus rect. Well, sort of. I guess it's the same. Okay, so that's, is that a Windows function or an MFC function is the question. Highlight or select. I just pressed F1, by the way. So, pause the video. I guess I didn't pause the video. What did I do? I just minimized it. Anyway, I can cut that bit out also. But if, as you saw there, I can see now, that's just a GDI function. Close. So there's nothing to that. The text color would be different depending on if it's selected. This code I would just copy, and I can easily map this. Very easily map this to my code. Adding a string, then I get an H icon. Add string plus icon. No problem. Now, what about drawing the icon itself? Where does that happen? So here it's doing a fill rec. Now it's drawing a focus rec. Now it's setting a transparent mode. Selecting the text from the item, a format. Selecting an icon from using the text as an index. So that would be bad if there were two things with exactly the same text. And now draw icon is obviously an API call. Has to be. No way that can be. Yeah. And then drawing the text. And this rectangle would exclude the width of the icon, I suppose. Rect item. Where did our text get? Figured out. Our text plus icon height, yeah. So it just moves the text slightly to the right of the icon and slightly down from the top. So that's how you draw one of these things. There's nothing to it. You draw depending on what it tells you, if it's a selected thing or not. A box, right? And you draw the icon, and then you draw the text. Okay, and the rest of the handling, with keyboard and mouse clicking and whatnot, is the same as it would normally be. So it should take me no time to get this compiling without the use of MFC, and that's what I want. And I can add this to my list of tools. Now the other thing, of course, about this particular program is, again, it uses the sys tray. Oh, it also uses something, it uses some COM, and that I really don't want to go into explaining, but I'll have to explain a little bit. But anyway, it uses the system tray, and see that's what was sort of in the back of my mind when I was wondering whether or not it should be its own separate class. You know, I have derived from window, TS window, systray window, but I don't have one for the dialog class. Now, one way to have it work with both would be to do a side derivation, like to derive your window from both. If it's a window, TS window, comma, you know, systray manager or something. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it would be to make a systray dialog type thing, which uses all the same functions as the systray window does, and then instead of duplicating the actual code, because there's nothing special about that code that means it has to be a member of window, right? But the code in here, oops, not here, in systray window, all of this stuff, the only part that has to do with the actual window itself is the hwind. So I can make all of these global functions that take an hwind parameter in them, and then I can use the same thing for both. That's all. It would just become global. And the handling part. Now what about the handling? The handling has to do with that one function that you have to call, right? That's where all the handling occurs. Again, this can take an hwind parameter. So instead of overriding this, well, I could still have this and just have this function. Sorry, not that function. The one you're supposed to call. Is private message. This thing, right? The only thing missing here is the hwind, and this thing does call a callback, but I can secretly pass a callback type thing in the constructor of this. So that's another way of doing it. So either make it in a separate class, which I don't really prefer, because of the KISS rule, keep it simple, stupid, and then you won't have any problems. If we start deriving from two objects, particularly ones that both have virtual functions, then we're going to have to be very careful when we cast things, right? We'll have to make heavier use of dynamic cast if any casting is to go on. And I prefer not, but it might be the better solution too. So those are the issues. There's certainly no issue with this dialogue and making that fancy list box. There's no issue with this code. The way the code works is identical in a dialogue scenario as it is in a Windows scenario. Well, there is WM create, I guess. For a dialogue, you don't get a WM create. You get a WM init dialogue. So I have to think about that too a little bit. Okay, so now all that is just to give you a little bit of a heads up and to let you admire some beautiful smoking women. That being one. I do have the other one set up here. One of the other ones. Vogue. I think it's quite nice. I'll let you admire that picture for a while. And then I'll quit. Oh my goodness, I never even noticed that. Oh, wow. Very cool picture. Now here, this is an ad against smoking. See, it's telling you that if you smoke cigarettes, then the Grim Reaper is gonna come and get you. Which reminds me. Time for another cigarette. Yeah, I do smoke, and I do think it is kind of a dirty habit. Your breath smells bad, and your house ends up smelling like cigarettes all the time. But on the other hand, I actually enjoy it. I don't enjoy smoking cigarettes when I'm in my home country, Canada, because what they've done is they've made the price of cigarettes so high that if I'm living there, I can't afford them, so I have to buy the cheap cigarettes from off the Indian reserves. And those are awful. But I know that eventually I'm going to get back to where I am, Cambodia, where a pack of cigarettes costs about 25 cents. And so there's no need to take drastic measures such as quitting smoking. If I didn't enjoy it, I would quit. The actual addiction part is not. Maybe I'm fooling myself, but I don't think it never bothers me when I take those long flights from North America to Asia. Those are some 12 or 14-hour flights. Nobody else is smoking, and I don't think about it, and I don't feel any different than I normally would. So I would quit if I didn't enjoy it, or if it became too expensive. But it's kind of I think it's a loss to the world that smoking has disappeared as a kind of fashion thing. It's maybe it's just me, but there's just something about the cigarette itself has it's like a sexy look to it. I don't know. And one day nobody will smoke anymore. It'll be a thing that people talk about in the history books. But and not understand that there was kind of a related culture. Anyway, I'm rambling, aren't I? But I think nobody's really watching anyway. You can always skip past my rambling. And I want to get back to my music, so I'm going to quit here, and I'm going to fix up some bits. So you might find some choppiness. I have found some choppiness before this, as I cut out even more excessive ramblings from the video. But now you can see what issues I want to deal with, and I'm going to try to think of the best way to deal with them. And maybe we could even try two different ways of dealing with that sys-tray window structure. Should we use, is that something where we need C++? Should we be using C++ for that? Is it warranted? Or is it better to just make it something of, basically a C interface where it's just function calls and we pass handles? So, and that's something that you can think about yourself too. Okay, see you.